Trigonometry, Chapter 1, Trigonometric Functions, Section 3, Trigonometric Functions, Video 9, Using Calculators to Evaluate Trig Functions. This series is based on content from Pearson's Trigonometry 12th edition by Lial, Hornsby, Schneider, and Daniels. To wrap up this section, I want to briefly go over a few things to know when using a calculator to evaluate trigonometric functions. We will revisit this topic throughout the remainder of the course. Number one, any calculator capable of evaluating trig functions has multiple angle measure settings. Specifically, such calculators will have degree mode and radian mode. Radians are another unit of measurement for angles, which we will discuss later in this course. For now, until further notice, you should assume that all trig functions are being evaluated in degree mode. It is your responsibility to access a scientific calculator and be familiar with how to operate it. One excellent low-cost calculator that I'm familiar with is the TI-30XS. This is not a graphing calculator, but it does display expressions as you type them. And for full disclosure, I am not getting any sort of kickback for promoting this calculator. It's just one that I really like because it's simple, it's inexpensive, and let me stop the screen share so you can see a larger version of this. It's simple, it's inexpensive. You can get a new one for around $20, and it displays what you type, as I'm going to demonstrate on an emulator here in just a second. Let's go back here. In fact, let's demonstrate it on that emulator right now. Here's what the TI looks like, and if you type something, you can see it in all its glory. But I want to talk about the angle measurement mode. In most calculators, there will be something on the screen that says whether it's in degrees or radians. Sometimes there's a third option called grad. To change it on the TI-30XS, you would hit mode. Notice the top is your angle measurement units, degrees, radians, and grads. Right now it's on radians because it's highlighted, but the cursor is currently flashing on degrees. If I press enter, it'll highlight degrees, clear it out, and notice that now my calculator is in degree mode. So be very careful when you're using a calculator to do trigonometry to know whether it's in degree mode or radian mode, depending upon your needs. Number two, most calculators have buttons for sine, cosine, and tangent, but not secant, cosecant, and cotangent. Use reciprocal relationships to evaluate those three. For example, let's say you wanted to evaluate cosecant of 20 degrees. Since sine and cosecant are reciprocals, you can deduce the following. Cosecant of 20 degrees equals 1 over sine of 20 degrees. The expression on the right being the one that I'm going to put into the calculator. So let's see what it looks like in the TI-30XS. This particular calculator does have a fraction button where I could type 1 over and then put sine of 30 degrees. And I am in degree mode, and it'll tell me that the answer is 2. I could also do 1 divided by sine of 30 degrees, and that would give me the same result. Do not use the sine inverse button when you're doing a reciprocal function. In this context, the -1 up here in what looks like an exponent position on the sine means inverse function, pardon the typo on the word means inverse function, not reciprocal. We will discuss inverse trig functions at a later date. Just to show you what would happen if you mistakenly used the inverse sine function to try to calculate cosecant. If I did secant and then sine inverse and put in 30, not only will it not give me the correct answer of 2, in this case, it won't even give me the correct answer because 30 is not in the domain of the sine inverse function. We'll discuss what that means more in the future, but in this case, you couldn't even use it on accident and expect to get an answer. Now I'd like for you to try, if you have access to a scientific calculator, pause the video and try the following. Use a calculator to evaluate the following, round to 4 decimal places. Notice the top 3 are the buttons that you would find on a calculator, and the bottom 3 are their corresponding reciprocals. All right, if you haven't paused the video and tried it, this is your fair warning. Solutions in 3, 2, 1. Notice that I took advantage of the reciprocal relationships on the bottom 3. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine, cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, and cotangent is the reciprocal of tangent.